Good evening. Today is Saturday, March 30th, 2024, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast. So looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So again, I'm recording this on a Saturday. It's a little bit different than normal. I usually get up bright and early and record this on a Sunday morning. But tomorrow is Easter and I'm not getting up bright and early to do that on Easter Sunday. We will give the Lord his due respect. So basically, we're gonna look at this on Saturday night. Really, nothing's gonna change between now and like the next 6 to 8 hours. Like the market does not move a ton on the weekend, especially this early in the bull market, even though a lot of people believe that we're peaking at this point because we passed all-time highs, but that's not going to be the case. We're just going to continue to sail higher. From what I can see, everything that I am looking at in the market is pointing in that direction. So again, we have had, I think we just broke a record actually for the 7th monthly close in a row. That is not common. I think this just broke a record. So 7 months was the most. So one in September normally is not a positive month. It's normally a negative month if you look at it historically over the years. And Bitcoin has been around for about 15 years at this point. So like they have a good track record of understanding what the data could be. And September is actually one of the most negative months on average. So you have September, which is positive, again, phenomenal. September, October, November, December, January, when the ETF released, February, and now March. So that is 7 months in a row that you have had a positive month on Bitcoin. So you broke that record. Again, we're at the point of the market where we've broken the all-time high. The halving is in 2 weeks. The Bitcoin halving is in 2 weeks, roughly. It could land somewhere. I think they're projecting somewhere around like April 17th to around April 20th. So 420. So that would be actually pretty funny if it did land on 420, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out. So that's coming up. You have just so many things on the horizon within the next month or two that could potentially send the price so much higher. And my projection since last year, we're pretty much coming up on a year that I've been making these forecasts. So like my projection at this time last year was somewhere around 250,000 by the end of 2025 was my projection that we would hit. But again, we're still on the monthly chart at this point. Very, very high time frame at this point. As you can see, we've kind of made this big curve, and then we're continuing on to the upside. But we'll see. Like we will see how it shapes out. I don't know exactly how it's going to get there, but I do understand that there's an end point, right? And it just like continues on to go. We'll get there. So we're on the weekly chart now. On the weekly chart, we see that it gets even more dramatic. So we moved and we created this lower. This is literally just the lower part of the parabola, and it's continuing to go on to the upside. We had a couple down weeks here. So we had a down week here, we had a down week here, and this last week, this was the dip. This is the dip that we had. It was 2 weeks that we had that was a dip. And it just recovered so effortlessly. Like right now, we're at about $70,000. And that's still significant. Like dips are short lived. I've been saying this for the past several weeks during a bull market. And we are very much so in a bull market at this point, really, honestly, since October. We've been fully in a bull market. January was a little bit sideways because, again, there was a lot of anticipation. Money was put on the sidelines, but now the money is fully in play. There's money from institutions. There's money from, hedge funds and all this other stuff that's corporations, all this, that, and the third that are getting into Bitcoin. So like you will have dips that may come down to here because you may have a big swath of people selling all at once. But if you continue on to the upside, it's just people are gonna buy it up because there's so much demand sitting here and here and here and here to the downside and here and here. Actually, the further down you go, the stronger the demand gets. So we can see here, this was a very strong level, the strongest at this point level of demand that we had. Actually, probably one of the weaker ones, actually, because like it gets stronger at that point. But this was able to reverse price. at that point. So we will put on the drawings, kind of see what we have here. It goes, we've already talked about this big swooping kind of bowl that we have here. If we look at it, there are two channels. We have two channels, a channel here and a channel that moves to the upside here. And if you see anything about the slope on these are getting steeper as time goes by. What was this? This was January. We just blew through this long-term resistance. And I said, I've been saying this for months. Once we blow through here, there's nothing stopping this from getting any higher than what it is now. And we saw that. There was no stopping. There was no turning around. And you broke the all-time high here, and then there was somewhat of a pullback. That makes sense. But if you look at the bodies of the candle here, it still stayed in this range. It was volatile here because it was going up and down. It was very hectic. But overall, the average price that we ended up at on either side was still right in the middle. So it didn't go anywhere. There was all types of news that came out at this point, but we're still good. We're in a bull market. There's just literally so much demand under here that it's just going to push price up either way that it goes. So this is the weekly chart. We look at the daily chart to go even further into it. Like I said, we broke through this long-term resistance. We came and bounced off of the top side of this channel perfectly. We broke through the channel, hit the long-term resistance. It's a game of ping pong. You come up all the way, super high move all the way from October, right at the end of October. It shot up into this long-term resistance. It came down, but not too far. And then from there, it really just took off and never really looked back. This was your dip. If you look at it, it came up, down for a bit, not too far, up, down, and up again. I was saying for a while it probably wouldn't break this area right here, this demand zone that we had, and it did. It broke down a little bit to the downside. You never know how far something will break down, but you have a general idea that if it goes to a certain point, it's just going to turn around. Now we've come back up into this channel. And I could see us still going higher. I said potentially last week we could maybe even get up to 80,000 in short order. We see that type of stuff too. And now that we're getting into April, that's just going to be more and more possible. So what do we look at? February had the highest overall movement in Bitcoin history. In Bitcoin history, February was the biggest closing month. Because it moved $18,000 in 1 month. I think it was a 43% gain. So that is significant. That is huge. And it moved that way. So I think we're at the bottom of this channel now, still moving up to the upside. 80,000 is in short order. I don't think that'll be, too far behind. 4-hour chart. Once you get down to the 4-hour chart, you start seeing some interesting stuff. And I mean, you can go lower and lower on this and see, but I drew this consolidation line last week, and this consolidation area, that's explosive behavior. I said right here that this was explosive behavior, and it exploded just a little bit right back up to the upside. You drew another triangle right here, and that is likely to explode to the upside just as it did. It'll come here and then probably go there. This is more of a channel right here that was up, down, up, down, up, down right here. This was very much so a range. You had an uptrend channel right here. So you can just continue to draw these ranges and areas where it's going to explode. And really what it comes down to, it's a matter of time. It is a matter of time. It's not necessarily a matter of if, it's a matter of when you understand that all of this money is coming into the market at this one time. We look at it right here. We look at it right here above this area. This was a resistance zone for quite a bit. So it came up, boom, rejected for a little bit, came down to the bottom of this channel, and then came back up, tried it one more time, boom, couldn't do it. And then it finally broke out to the upside and broke through that long-term resistance. It's just a beautiful thing. It just keeps on going. At this point, if you don't believe me, Satoshi Nakamoto said this in the past. He said, if you don't believe me, I don't have time to explain it to you. I'm sorry. That, in so many words, I don't know if that was the direct quote, but it was. I think that was all the way back in like 2010. That's the sentiment moving forward. Like Bitcoin has done everything that it needs to do to prove that this is one of the best performing asset classes in the world. Really, I haven't found a better one, but again, we'll see. This has been Chris Talks Crypto. I don't really have too much more to talk about today. So yeah, again, it's been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out any crypto-based resources on christalkcrypto.com, and I will see y'all on the moon. Take care. Bye-bye. Happy Easter.